Eating is a necessity of life, but it's also something we as humans enjoy doing. Almost everywhere you go has at least one restaurant chain that is native and unique to that place. The citizens of that area love the chain. In the state of Alabama, no chain embodies this better than Chappy's Deli.
People do love Chappy's. If you ask people what do they think about Chappy's, or you say, hey, I work at Chappy's, their response is, oh, we love Chappy's. I love Chappy's, which is a real compliment.
People can tell that we care about them. In general, every customer comes in, we care for them, we care about them, and care that they're taken care of. And so we generally we care, I think, more than most.
Good. I'm feeling good.
Gosh, I guess it was about last summer some of my friends from high school came to town. I mean, people I've known, I guess, for 20 years, which makes me feel pretty old. And after we did some sightseeing, they wanted to go out for lunch, but they didn't want to take their kids to the same place that they always go. They wanted to expose their kids to different restaurants in different parts of the country and do something local. And it took me a little while to think, what would the kids actually like that's still not a typical chain? But actually, when I thought of Chappy's, the answer was kind of easy, because everybody likes Chappy's. They had a great time, and it really gave them a chance to see where people actually go in Montgomery. It's not the same old fast food.
You know what I mean, don't you know?
Good thing about Chappy's is we have a very good variety, or as I call the slice of life. I mean, you've got all young, all races, all genders. You get people that are real easygoing. You get people where you got to talk to them a certain amount of time, or they're going to be upset at their food. So it's a great mix of people. A lot of kids, though, probably tend to be more than other restaurants because we are kid friendly.
One of the things that makes Chappy's unique is our service. We're not a 5-star, $25 an entree place, but we try to have that level of service. And 5-star service here means a very personal touch. We always have a manager on the floor managing the service staff. We expect a lot out of our servers, and then we watch them all the time. The person on the floor, or the maitre d', or the front of house manager is in charge of all aspects of the operation. The server will have one section with 3 or 4 or 5, 6 tables, but the manager is responsible for the whole house. And we set high standards for the servers, and then we make sure that that happens. Make sure that every guest has a great experience. You know, what's a great experience? It's when somebody comes in and they spend a little money and a little time and they like it.
And we are closed on Sundays. We care about people outside of Chappy's. They're not just here as a number, as labor workers. We do care what they have a life outside of Chappy's.
You know, we look for, we try to hire friendly, nice people, no matter if they've got restaurant experience or not. In our entry-level positions, we try to hire nice faces, nice people who got a positive outlook, attitude, and we can train the rest.
As Director of Operations, I hire managers and the general managers. I don't do it by myself. The owners have input, especially about general managers and managers. I get their input, they're okay. I make recommendations, and we make that decision together. As far as hiring employees for each store, I set guidelines. I encourage them to review, hey, do you need servers? Do you need to be hiring servers? Do you have enough? And if the manager says, oh, I have just enough, then my answer to that in general is, okay, if you have just enough, that means you need to hire 1 or 2 so that you have somebody to draw from, some backups. I review any employees that have worked for us in the past and okay whether they can be rehired or not. I give my input. If managers or GMs ask my opinion, what do you think about this person? Would you mind sitting down and talking to them? That sort of thing.
Obviously, when the GM does all the ultimate hiring, he has his routine of usually some of the other managers will interview, and if they like someone, they'll send it to the GM, and he only likes usually a part of that group. I do give advice for the servers and kitchen and all those employees. I do interview any managers, any potential manager candidates basically all the time. So we're always looking for that person that can help us out for the future, basically.
My My average workday at Chappy's as Director of Operations is that I touch base with all the general managers. The general managers run each individual store. We've got one in Auburn, and one in Prattville, where your brother runs it, and then the 3 in Montgomery. And my job is to support the GMs.
An average work day is a good mix of things, and that's one of the beauty of being in this business is it's no days the same. It's a mixture of paperwork, obviously. I try to do that early morning, and then it's a combo of making food, talking with our employees, making sure they're happy and everything's going according to their plan as much as possible, but obviously we're still within our plan. And handling it's called the fires that come up, whether it's the 150 box lunches that just got called in, or whether this piece of equipment just broke, or whatever else may happen in a day. So it's a good mix.
I'm in the office too much in the morning. I usually get there about 7, and about lunchtime I'll go and work in one of the stores, and then right after lunch I will go back to the office till about 6:30 at night.
I first got involved with Chappy's when I'd been in the restaurant business for almost 21 years, and the location that I was at was kind of petering out. So I knew Nat Barenko, David's older brother, the senior partner at Chappy's. And so as I needed a job, and I had lots of experience in the restaurant business, I called Nat and said, hey, I'd like to talk to you about coming to work for you. And he said, well, we probably can put you to work. Need to talk to my brother David. And so I interviewed with David, and initially interviewed for the Director of Operations job 10 years ago, and didn't get that, but pretty soon after that, one of the general managers quit, and I interviewed for the job of general manager for the Perry Hill Road store, and then took that job.
Well, I worked for free when I was a young man at about 10 or 11. I didn't know you got paid back in the day. My father's the owner. And so I started working, just fell in love. I knew that's what I was going to do. And so I did go to college. I got a finance degree just to make sure I knew the numbers side of it, because I knew I'd figure out the front end of it. I just kind of always knew once I got into it, I love talking to people, love being around people, different kinds of people every day. And in any given day, we see hundreds of people, and that's what I wanted to do. So I knew right on.
Well, you know, we kind of started Chappy. So the first role was really with a saw and a hammer. We built the counters and did the hammering and the nailing a lot of the store to get the first one going, because you know, we were just a small little operation. So, and then from there it became everything. You wear many hats when you get started, between advertising and purchasing and managing and doing the human resource side of it, scheduling, the accounting part. So it's a lot of different hats, a lot of long hours, but all very fun and all very rewarding.
What I like about Chappy's is when I work in the dining room and I'm seating people, and so I see people every day, and I seat them and I ask them how they're doing, and I get them a server and talk with them a little bit, and that's what I do best. And so it's like having friends come to see you every day. It's different ones every day. Some of the same ones come every day. But over a week period of time, if I work in the dining room, say at lunch or breakfast, I've seen a whole lot of people that I enjoy seeing.
Yes, it's the super variety, the many challenges is what brings me to Chappy.
I like every part of it. I like the people relationships. I think it's probably my favorite. And at times that gets to be part of the hard parts of the job. But for the most part, that's the fun part to it.
Busiest time of the day is lunch. Right now, the busiest store is Perry Hill overall. However, the Prattville store, some Friday and Saturday lunch periods, serve more people than anybody in those 3 or 4 hours of lunch. But lunch is the biggest time period for customers. We had a lot of crazy things at Chappy's. Some of the wild things that happen is people call at the last minute and need food for lots of people. And you know, our tagline or motto is, yes, we can. And so when people call up and say, hey, I need food for 80 in an hour, the answer is, yes, we can. The 187th, the fighter wing out near Danley Field, called one weekend, and they had had some kind of mechanical failure. They could not prepare meals, and they needed hundreds, I don't remember exactly how many, right now. So they needed meals for like 1,200 in the next few hours. We said, absolutely. Now we can get a couple hundred in the next 30 minutes, and then we'll bring another 200, another 200, another 200. So the answer was yes, we can, and this is what we can do. That was pretty wild and crazy. Everybody pitches in. You get all the stores involved, everybody involved, the secretaries, the owners, family members, whoever comes in and puts boxes together and gets them out there and takes care of folks.
I was not there, but I saw it on video. It was in our Birmingham store. The gas started leaking out of the grill for whatever reason. They evacuated everybody out, and then on the camera you could see the grill exploding and flipping over. And these grills are like 2,000 pounds. You can't, it takes 6 guys or 8 guys to lift them. And it just blew and flipped the grill over. And nobody was hurt, but that was the craziest thing I've ever seen.
One guy, when it was raining, he did drive up on the sidewalk with his car because I guess he didn't have an umbrella, and he blocked kind of the front door, but he was wanted to not get wet. That was pretty crazy. And another guy in the busy lunch hour started yelling out, head them up and move them out. We're heading west, and then he was yelling, and the whole store stopped to hear what he was saying.
The craziest thing that ever happened was when we hired Galen Rump. You know, it's funny you ask about display food, especially at the Pepper Tree store where we had desserts and brownies and cookies on display. People would come up and take one out, and they would try to buy it. They wouldn't really try to eat it, but they would try to buy it and take it out.
Yes, they have tried and will continue to try and will always try, thinking that it's a sample of but they do try. Much as we try to put up signs, people like to eat, but that's a good thing. That's why we're in business.
They have. In fact, we just started a new flap, and sure enough, somebody went out there and grabbed a chip, and it had been sitting there for a while, so didn't want anybody to get sick or get the bad impression. That's how our food tastes. So I had to put a sign up immediately. So basically, if you don't put a sign up, someone grabs it every time. That's the answer.
So you have to be like not for human consumption.
Exactly. Display only is what we say on there.
I was given the opportunity to go to Chappy's, and when I got there, there was food on display. At the time, I had no clue. And so they were like, hey Jaden, there is Ruffles on display. And there was like a burger and fries and everything. So I took a bite of the Ruffles, and it turned out it was just display food. And when I swallowed it, I felt sick, and I learned my lesson. But they gave me free ice cream at the end, and it made my day. So I was okay with getting sick that day, because I got free vanilla ice cream.
The free ice cream is a great deal. If you dine in, you get a little free ice cream cone or a little cup. And every once in a while you have somebody that tries to sneak in and get their second one. Or we have people who ask for it to go, and we always say, oh, absolutely.
We have a couple of customers that are blacklisted that we know when they come in, we've got to make sure they only get their one. And we keep a good eye on them, so ask another person for one, another person for one, another person for one. But yeah, sadly, that's the way the world is. People take advantage of any loopholes. But in the end, the customer's always right, so we got to just, in essence, do what they say.
One word is tough, but I would say managing, and that definition of managing is planning, organizing, directing, controlling.
I would say interesting. That's it. You know, just thinking to myself, what would be interesting? And I love it.
My job in one word is ever changing. Ever changing. Every day is different. We have to be ready to feed a bus if they drive up in the parking lot, take a reservation for 20 at noon in the middle of the dining room, or the 187th fighter wing calls and says, I need lunch for 500 in a couple hours. The answer's got to be yes, we can. So it's ever changing, it's volatile. We also deal with a lot of different employees, and so every few months, or rather every day, we're training somebody. So as the years go by, the staff changes because people are here temporarily a lot. We have about a third of our staff that's full-time, a third is kind of part-time, and a third seems to kind of roll over all the time. It's kind of funny. You know why everybody's happy at Chappy's? Let's see, here's Chappy's. That's on the receipt. And what's right in the middle of Chappy's? It's happy. That's why everybody's happy at Chappy's.